What's up, college football addicts? Boys, we can't even get a night's sleep. Seriously. I don't even know where to begin with this one. Um, these coaching searches are straight up going off the rails. So around last night, midnight or so, ESPN's Dan Wetzel got online and made a post on X. And he decided that he didn't care if you guys were sleeping. He felt like things were too calm, I guess, and maybe peaceful in the coaching world, the coaching search world. The drama wasn't ratcheted up enough. We didn't have enough of it between Lane and Florida this week. LSU needed to find some way to get in on the action, and boy, did they. So Dan posted last night around midnight. In all honesty, Dan decided that he was going to stir the pot. But the man didn't just go over the counter and grab a normal size spoon. No, he wasn't going to stir mom's spaghetti with that old big metal spoon. He knew that that spoon wasn't going to cut it. He decided he wanted to properly stir the pot for maximum impact. So he went out to the garage and grabbed one of those giant metal paint stirrers for, stirring a 5-gallon bucket of paint. Then he grabbed his power drill. He attached the paint stirrer to the power drill. He jumped back onto the stove, stuck the paint stirrer into a pot of mom's spaghetti, and he let it rip. He flung spaghetti sauce all over the kitchen walls. Mom comes in and she's in shock. She's watching ground beef and spaghetti sauce slowly dripping down her formerly clean walls. And she's in disbelief. She isn't mad. She's still trying to process what's just happened. And that's where we're at right now. In shock, watching the spaghetti slowly drip down the wall. Whether you're a Florida fan, an LSU fan, or an Ole Miss fan, that's where we all are. So let's talk about what he posted. Dan posted the following. In a legal filing obtained by ESPN, Brian Kelly's lawyers state that LSU is saying it never formally terminated Brian Kelly and are now seeking to fire him for cause which could impact his near $54 million buyout. Plot twist, boys. LSU didn't fire Brian Kelly. That was all fake news. So in other words, LSU is saying that they never formally terminated BK. That's right. That meeting with the AD where the little red-faced elf stormed off and got furious and stormed off to his car and sped away. Yeah, he wasn't really fired. And somehow knew not to come to work the next day, but yet he wasn't formally fired yet. But now LSU is saying that they are formally firing him with cause. So what does this mean? Well, it means there's a question about this whole $54 million buyout. And it's about to be one heck of a legal fight. And legal fights can drag on for a long time. And so much dirt and negative news can come out in the process. My guess is that if Brian Kelly chooses to actually proceed in this legal fight and not settle it quickly, he's kind of signaling that he may be done coaching. Because this is definitely going to get ugly if it continues down this path. And either way, whether it's quick or slow, I think it does likely get settled. The quick way will be a lower settlement, maybe half the money. The slower way will be a higher settlement, but with a lot more dirty laundry being aired. And that could be dirty laundry on both sides. I promise you this, it's not going to be a good look for Brian Kelly. But I also promise you this, Brian Kelly is going to go down swinging and knows that things about LSU are going to make this pretty uncomfortable. And the media is going to swarm around this like flies on horse crap. I'm here for all of it. Today is Veterans Day, and we usually would ask you for a subscribe or a like. I don't want any of that. If you served, I would love for you to comment what branch you served in. And then I would love for people to flood the comments with thanks for your service. So I really want all of the comments to just be the branches of the military that people served in. And then I want all the replies to be people flooding it with thanks. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to like the video. You don't have to say that I'm great or terrible or anything like that. Let's do something different today for Veterans Day. So let's talk about how this LSU sideshow impacts the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes, because it absolutely does. You've got the added drama of a school in a legal fight with its former coach. How will that impact the next coach? Well, I can tell you, some of the agents certainly hope that it has an impact. Agents like Jimmy Sexton and Trace Armstrong have built their entire career warning schools against taking legal action against their coaches and telling schools that they have no option but to pay out full amounts. Clearly, LSU is willing to wear the black eye here. And let me be honest, we don't know all the details. We don't know what went on behind the scenes. It's possible that LSU has a perfectly legal claim, but you're never going to hear an agent admit to that. Remember, I told you guys the other day, I was hearing the rumors that smoke was rising out of LSU. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. How much will this impact LSU's coaching search? And will it cause other candidates to pass on them? Well, LSU fans, I have some good news and some bad news on this front. Let's start with the good news. Let's be positive this morning. The good news is that Brian Kelly had a massive reputation for being disliked and hard to work with. Now, I don't know him personally, so I can't comment other than what I've heard. But there have been numerous reports of him throwing his assistant coaches under the bus, among other things. So for LSU, that's the positive. Now the negative. Will this cause some other potential coaches to pass on the LSU job? It's possible. I can't sugarcoat that. It's certainly possible. How about as far as Lane Kiffin? That's certainly possible too. Keep in mind, guys, after the governor's rant, this is now the second dump truck load of drama being added to the garbage heap. Also, how will this impact other schools with big buyouts? Would this make other schools more likely to fight the buyouts? Could you see a school like Florida State doing this with Mike Norvell? Could you see other schools try this method or this route? If LSU's successful, if they can find a way to do it, I don't think it's too far out of the realm of possibilities that you could see other schools go down this same exact path to try and save money. A black eye for $5 million is not worth it, but a black eye for $20 or $30 million is absolutely worth it. And when you settle for less than the full amount, even if it was just a drop by 10 or 15 million, you look like you won. And Brian Kelly looks like he lost. And the same would be true for any other school in this situation. Last thing today, did you see Lane Kiffin's press conference? Did you see him asked about what makes a job a good job? It caught Lane off guard, which honestly is very tough to do. Lane is not often caught off guard. Lane is the guy in this sport that always has an answer for everything. Lane is the guy who will retort with a quick jab better than anyone else that's coaching today. Much like Spurrier, he always has an answer. But this time he didn't, and he admitted that. Lane is a master troll that's always thinking and always has the right thing to say, but he admitted, you caught me off guard there. And when asked about what makes a good job, he went on to describe how the landscape in college football has changed. It used to be on facilities. It used to be on coaching pools. It used to be on this or that. And now it's on budget. Not budget for assistant coaches, not budget for facilities, not budget for marketing. It's on the salary cap. It's on paying the players. What percentage of your rev share are you giving to football was his answer. And then to back that up, what does your collective look like? He talked about the history and the tradition and the championships and the Heisman and the ability to win. And it sure seemed a lot like he was signaling towards two schools that maybe play football a little bit south of Oxford, Mississippi. However, the other side of that is that we know that Lane Kiffin is a master troll. We know that he is a manipulator of words, and I mean that in the best way possible. So there's really not a lot you can read from it, because he very well may have been signaling that those two schools down south that are courting me are great jobs. But he also could have been sending you down one path so that he can tell the folks in Oxford, Mississippi, I will stay here, pulling yet another Lane Kiffin troll out of his bag of tricks. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Again, I'd love to know if you served this country here on Veterans Day, what branch it was. We'll read every single comment on this video, and I would ask those that didn't serve to comment your thanks on every single branch that you see listed. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning into College Football Addiction. As we always do, we want to remind you about the Sleeper app. CFA will get you a 100% match up to $100. All of our content this year is brought to you by Sleeper. We appreciate them for their support. We will talk to you guys soon.